So let's see. Right, let's see if what they end up going with their B1. It's always interesting. Again, they just ban away the Callista. I mean, Callista does provide you with a massive amount of aggression in the bot lane, and when dragons are very, very valuable, it helps to have that really, really oppressive bot laner. Kai'Sa looked like he was staring someone out there, as if like somebody had just like shouted a mum joke across the studio or something. Like, the guy looks so pissed. Like, what? So the LeBlanc gets banned away. They don't want to give it to cats, and the TF does get banned too. So I mean, the thing is, I really don't think I was. I didn't really like Humanoid on TF. So the Viego ban. I mean, I'm surprised they don't just respond with. I actually, if they Zin ban here, then they'll just Lee Sin. So they have to just leave them both open and then just look to trade. Now, unfortunately, they'll probably end up getting it. I mean, B1 Lee Sin is really not bad for the side of G2, but I mean, and I think Jankos definitely plays Lee Sin. So I mean, maybe they'll just go for the no, the Varus did get banned actually. So yeah, I think Lee Sin B1 would be the play here more than likely. Yep, and now they'll respond. I mean, to be fair, I mean, it depends what they want to do. It's very difficult when you don't really know as much about the teams to know exactly what they're going to draft. But in these positions, like if they got like a really strong bot lane, but they don't want to take support anytime soon, so if they just take Xin Zhao as kind of like their first champion, then that'll buy them time so that they continue to kind of speak in draft about what else they want to prioritize. So they are going to probably just look for ADC. Now, the reason why ADC is a good kind of blind is because you can take certain things. I would like to see something like an MF here, to be honest, because it kind of works the same with Varus in the fact that you can decide how you want to play it and what kind of playstyle you want to go with later on. But we do actually see the Ryze come out now. I think this is one of Humanoid's most played champions, but what we'll probably see is maybe like an Orianna picked up now for the side of G2 just to punish this blind Ryze pick. But he gives so much kind of utility to a team. It's okay if he gets kind of thrown under the bus and drafted a little bit. So okay, so he's laughing. Oh wait, they did go with the Triss, so they're gonna go with the Triss in the Ryze. Oh no, Silas into the Ryze and Triss bot. I would have thought they would have just put Triss mid into the Ryze, to be honest, but I guess it doesn't really provide any setup for the Lee Sin, so I could understand. It's gonna go bot lane. I think the Silas would be okay, just because again they're picking Ryze for that ultimate, so Silas can just take it over now. I probably would have preferred to see Orianna in that slot, especially considering she already has a Lee Sin, but I don't mind the Syndra either. It's not too bad. So what we'll probably do, like they'll probably just take a really strong AD here, or maybe they'll just pick up the Ezreal. I mean, Aphelios is open. I don't know if Kazi plays it. I think if he locks Kai'Sa here, this... Oh no. Oh no. This is really, really rough. Really rough. To be honest, it's a shame that they picked their mid here. Like, they could have literally just gone something like a Nivea and this game's kind of over. But they will just look to ban away kind of... Supports are good. I think Mad also needs to ban Rel here, just because she's so strong. For the side of G2, they're looking to ban things like Nautilus. The Thresh is banned already, but things like a Nautilus ban, and maybe even they'll ban the Leona just to avoid it going over to the side of Mad Lions on R4. Just because that's what they did last game. What you do is you isolate the supports, get rid of another support here. That way we have had a total of 4 of them banned so far, which, really restricts bot lane, and they're just keeping that Leona open. Leona Kai'Sa is pretty good too. Nautilus is a bit better because he's just nothing but CC. They get rid of the Alistair. Again, this is, they're looking to go the Leona here. That's why you get rid of Ali, because Leona jumps on top of somebody, Ali just queues her up, and then he can W her back into, say, the tower. So, pretty interesting. Now, the thing is, I think they could have also just left their ADC pick to later, and maybe even like R5 Vayne. But since I think Wonder's going to just pick another massive tank again. So here they'll just take away the Leona. It's the best support available, and they don't want to give that away. But I think G2 will respond now with the Rel. Because if they pick Rel here, it's also very, very good, and it's okay into Leona, and I think it's one of the only kind of viable options here, and especially you have Tristana Rel combo is extremely powerful, so I think that's what they'll end up going with. Rel, and they also need top, so just a big tank. I mean, maybe they just go with Rel and Tam again, like just because Tam isn't the worst blind pick due to the fact that he's always going to be a tank, and he's always going to be valuable. The Gragas is good in the top lane, very OP champion if you can stack up some haste, but I'm not entirely sure it was the answer here. Talia support? Nah, no way. Also, it's Gragas. They're taking the Gragas support, my bad. Just to counter the Leona engage now. I still would have preferred. Actually, Mickey is a big advocate for Gragas support. I know he's played it a lot. I think I still would have preferred the Rel just for the overall kind of team fight potential that brings. Especially considering they're all very short range. Top lane pick. Honestly, he's got R5 here into time. Probably just goes Gwen again. Yeah. So, I mean, pretty solid draft. Who wins? Now the problem is with Mad's draft here is it's very good if they can get in and it's skirmishy and they get in and fight. The problem is there's a lot of kind of tools for the side of G2 to stop that happening. For example, Gragas E, the Syndra E, that kind of, those things stop them from jumping on top of them, and they're very short range. So Tristana later on into the game, she can get say level 16, 17 when her range is so big. Then I think that Mad might struggle here, to be honest. I do prefer G2's draft here. But, I mean, both drafts are on theme. So they're both viable. But this is the thing I've discussed before. If you've got a team that wants to look to kind of poke... Actually, I guess G2 also have a very all-in team, now I think about it. Like, their team is very much based around just kind of jumping in and doing as much as possible. We do see an early kind of trade here, but it's really not going to do anything. It's just a bit of support combat, like. But we do have the 1 CS for Trist with the zombie ward, so game over, I guess. That's it. Now, I do prefer wards going over to solo lanes, purely because then you get level 2 of 6 minions instead of 7, which, you know, opens up massive opportunities for you to go aggressive after the first wave, which, you know, can be really, really good. But they didn't really go with it, which is fine, but... So, I mean, the thing is as well, so the problem with this bot lane too is Tristana beats Kai'Sa at pretty much all stages of the game. If she plays it correctly. Like, obviously, if she walks into an isolated area and gets completely one-tapped by an evolved Q, then it's going to make it a little bit rough. But, you know, early push, early kind of trading strength, early kind of, like, mid-game power, late game, she's better as well. Purely because Tristana, even though she is, this is the thing with Tristana, her mid game does fall off a little bit until she gets items. Her early game is ridiculous though, which is one of the reasons why the champ is so good, especially in mid lane. Now this is something that I was actually discussing previously, and this is a perfect example of it. Now, one of the things with Syndra that I've said in other games before is that these Qs, because they're not classed as targeted ability, they do not draw minion aggro. Now, the reason they don't draw minion aggro is because basically you're not throwing this Q on the enemy, you're throwing it on the ground, which means the minions won't prioritize you if they've already got a target. And we can see this very heavily here because we can see Caps kind of walking up and being very aggressive with these trades and just queuing, and as we see, the minions only target him if he's a new target. So as we can see here, he's queuing and he's kind of in the middle of the wave, but as you can see, the wave isn't responding with damage on him. Now, it will here, obviously, because they swap targets. So as long as you're using your Q aggressively in these kind of windows where they already have a target, you get massive pressure in the laning phase as Syndra. It's one of the reasons why she's such a good mid lane champion. And To be honest, I think she's kind of blindable as well. I mean, Echo might come out, but I mean, I think a good Syndra will know how to play into an Echo matchup. Later on into the game, she's still going to be one-shotting people with an E. Okay, so a flash E from Gragas just to try and get Kazi inside his Q to pop it there. Does manage to get his flash, so support flash for ADC flash is very, very valuable, especially when support has mobility already built into his kit. So again though, relatively slow early. The junglers have just finished clearing. Xin Zhao doesn't actually have his red buff yet. He's just pathing straight into top for a dive. This is really good to see, actually. And they're just going to punish this. Okay, this is extremely good from the side of Xin Zhao. Very, very nice to see. He accepted that his path wasn't too great, and he used that slow push. So, really nice. That was really good. Especially when you're playing things like this Xin Zhao, like this Lee Sin, like you want to look to get as much pressure as possible. We do see the TP come into bot lane from Arma. Now, it isn't the end of the world due to the fact that this wave is pulling into him top lane anyway, so he might be able to get back and get to that wave. So, overall, I mean, it's a very... this happens a lot in kind of the Eastern kind of leagues. They just want to fight. Like, they're just willing to lose that TP if their wave is in a good spot. And this is a really, really valuable thing to know as a top laner, is if the wave is in a good spot. Now, unfortunately, I do think he loses his cannon here. So he does lose a cannon, unfortunately. He does manage to catch quite a lot of the CS, but now the time is very, very overextended, so this Rise does have the potential to come up, and I don't think Tam's noticed. Oh, he's not going to. He's just going to reset. He didn't even get a ward down, so... But they don't know that. They don't know, so they might be calling that there's a ward there now. Now, this is another thing with this lane, with the Kai'Sa lane. As you can see, she's just getting so heavily aggressed. It's very hard for her to really do anything in this lane, and this is kind of how it goes, like, all the time. Okay, Tristana, again, one of the big things that you can do with her is if you buffer your W. Okay, Mickey going crazy. Okay, I mean, 1 for 1, not the end of the world considering that Tristana lives. I mean, it's a bit greedy, but I mean, Tristana lives and she can continue farming right now. This wave is in an okay position. I mean, this will never freeze, but this will turn into a slow push, which means that Kai'Sa can at least use the slow push when she gets back to the lane and potentially be aggressive. Now, as you can see here, the Leona E goes through, but with Tristana, if you W and buffer the ability, as long as it's buffered, it'll still go through even if you CC'd. It's kind of the same way as Ezreal E. Ezreal E is a little bit easier to do that with, but Tristana's W also does it. And it's a very, very important thing to know if you want to play that champion. Just because, say for example, you get blitz hooked, it doesn't matter, you just W. But you have to time it properly so that you W as soon as you see the hook, and then it works. So Jankos with a gank on top lane. Gwen is going to die. Made her move her... oh, wait, maybe not. This champion, though, but we do have a fight on bot lane. Caps does use his flash to get in there and does manage to kill her Yoya instantly. Arma dies. Thank God. Two of them trying to kill her, and this is the thing, she only has an amp tome. So it's like, the fact that she managed to actually put up that good of a fight with just an amp tome is crazy. Now, Humanoid is in this brush. I think he was potentially looking for this right now, but... oh my God, what is this positioning from Humanoid, though? Like, what? That's terrible, man. That's actually so bad. So as we can see here, we get this replay coming through. I'm just trying to process why. he would even think of doing that. Well, we don't have this replay come through actually because there's a tower dive in bot lane instantly. Kai'Sa doing a ton of damage to Mickey, but just not enough. This is the thing, like, Kai'Sa's Q is a lot of damage, but you just can't dive like that. So very, very risky out of bot lane. Very questionable dives out of bot lane. Like, crazy that happened. So, Kazi's just going to look to push this wave in now. And get a reset off. Just because this is going to stay here for a little bit too long. So, she does need to just get this wave pushed in and reset. But I guess she's not going to. It will end up still pushing back into her eventually. Which is completely fine. And that kind of worked for her. But I think if she would have just bounced that wave. But obviously she didn't know where the Lee Sin was. But I mean, she did have a ward in the river, so if she saw Lee Sin come around, she can kind of use her E especially to dodge his Q, and it's very hard to actually hit her, which is one of the advantages to Kai'Sa. So I think it was a little bit too hesitant. But if I remember correctly, Kazi just played a lot of the kind of champions like Ezreal and like the champs that just play safe bot lane, and then they just allow their support to just rotate and do whatever. Now the problem with this game is support can't really rotate and do whatever as much without Kai'Sa being dead. Like right now, the Kai'Sa is in massive trouble. Massive trouble. Purely because this Tristana at any point can jump on her and kill her. I'm pretty sure at this point, with her ult, Tristana can actually tower dive. Now his heal is coming back up soon, so that will get rid of a little bit of that kill pressure, but either way, I still think they do have the kill pressure in this bot lane right now. They're just going to go for Herald though. 9-minute Herald, it means, you know, they'll be able to get some plates with it, get a lot of gold. If they manage to get it in a good, if they manage to use it properly, we do get Leona just jumping in though a lot. Elyoya jumps in as well, gets kicked back by the Lee Sin. Wonder comes in with the W. This is a very bad fight for the side of Mad now, unless Gwen does a massive amount, which she actually is. Damn, this Gwen is huge. And really nice ult from Humanoid actually to get Wonder. Actually turned out being very, very favoured for Mad. Oh, it's because Gwen has her Riftmaker component already, which means she's healing by a massive amount. So obviously she's healing by everything that she uses on that Q, which is a very, very large amount of healing. So we will see this fight again. So here, obviously they go, Kai'Sa manages to jump in and kind of lock them down. Elyoya does jump in, uses an ult, so, you know, he's never really going to take much damage. But then Wonder does manage to get a good ult, but W. But the problem is we're in this kind of situation where Gwen in this area is so valuable due to the fact that her ult is so easy to kind of land if you're in this area. And especially if you have multiple people in that area as well, it becomes very, very easy to. And just kind of get that on everybody. So, right now, I mean, G2 are in a very kind of, I'd say they're still in a good position, to be honest. Especially considering they do have this scaling option out of the Tristana, which they can play around as well. And, you know, they've got a massive beefy tank in terms of the Tahm Kench. So, I do think I prefer their draft, but I think if there was any other ADC for the side of Mad, I think if, say, for example, they took Aphelios there, I would actually really, really like Mad's draft. So I do still think they can like win quite heavily with this, because this one was on 11.15 as well. This was where Gwen was ridiculously powerful, like as in B1 powerful. But we get a really, really good fight from the side of Elyoya here. Manages to nearly kill Mickey, but not quite. And I was just going to... Jankos is getting the Herald top. I mean, it is pre-14, so they can still use it to get plates. We do get a solo plate in mid lane as well, 4 caps. Humanoid is just looking to get reckless here, but it's really not going to work because you know, she could just W out instantly, but it is very, very good positioning from Reckless to understand that he needs to back away from the tower and stand far back. So I really like that kind of positioning and that kind of awareness that he isn't able to walk up in that moment, which is a really, really important thing that I feel a lot of ADCs really lack and they really don't kind of take note of enough. I feel like a lot of ADCs think that, you know, like if they ever leave their tower, like they're completely screwed, where it's like a lot of ADCs, what they'll do is they'll see a big wave like slow pushing in. Oh, we get double TP come out for the side of Mad. This is going to be a really, really big fight. Jankos gets insta-killed and then Gwen is just in the back. They manage to kill Lee Sin as well, and crazy. Like, that was really, really good to just instant TP out of Mad, and this is kind of their team fighting power. And at this point, this is kind of one of the big things. Like, this Kai'Sa kind of functions now due to the fact that the Trist is getting kind of starved out, whereas, you know, if I was Lee Sin, I would have kind of camped this pot a lot more due to the fact that top lane is a massive tank, and, you know, you do have a fairly good 2v2 in mid lane, but you do get beat in the 2v2 in mid lane, so the only thing you want to look to do is go for the 3v2 bot, or even the 3v3, especially considering Gragas can kind of cancel Leona before she gets on top of your ADC, and that allows the Tristana to do quite a lot. Now, Tristana is close to Mythic now. She's not quite on it, but here we see this fight started. Mickey engaged in, but then, like, you can't just engage like this when there's minions, like, in the lane like that, because it just allows them to get free TPs in, and Mad really, really do punish that, and, you know, they ended up getting a really, really good fight off it. So one of the clear patterns that I'm seeing now out of Mad is that the early game isn't insane, but they're instantly willing to punish early aggression, like, over and over and over. And I feel like that's one of the kind of things that makes them good. And I've said this before in, for example, that LinkedIn post that I did, that the kind of this kind of instantly get into the fight, instantly start doing things, this kind of playstyle is more kind of Eastern, especially kind of, it's very popular in LPL. This is the thing with the Kai'Sa. She just gets instantly popped by the Lee Sin. The champion is just really not good. I think this Kai'Sa pick here was really, really grief, to be honest. Really, really grief. I just feel like Kai'Sa is not a good pick in this comp. I mean, I do think Kai'Sa can be good, but she just gets outranged too much in this game, and the Tristana is open. So, you know, I'm not going to slate it too much, because I still think as long as they play the draft properly, it's still good. Like, I do think there would have been better options for ADC, but I can see why they went with Kai'Sa. They want an ADC that can follow up the team with their kind of all-in skirmishy playstyle, which does work. So we do see the Kraken Slayer come out for the Tristana as well as the Kai'Sa now. So they're going to be doing a lot of damage. It's more important that Kai'Sa gets Kraken Slayer rather than Trist. I think Trist could have actually gone for a Gale Force this game, actually, but that if she goes Gale Force, it means that, you know, Kai'Sa will get a much bigger advantage out of the Kraken. But I feel like there's a lot of things that are going to be jumping on the Trist this game, so maybe it would have been valuable. I still think Kraken is very, very good though. It's a very strong mythic item, especially because of the true damage, but also the fact that it gives attack speed with the mythic bonus. So there is a kind of ward back there that they could TP to, but they're just looking to get kind of vision up here. But Humanoid is kind of suspicious. Is kind of sniffing this out. Humanoid comes in. Mickey is completely caught again. Like, oh man, you can't walk for vision like that on your own. Like, you just can't do it. You have to walk as a team to get the vision. Vision is a team effort. It's not just down to the support, which I feel like a lot of people don't realize. But really unfortunate to see that from Mickey though. But we'll see. I mean, maybe G2 just get a fresh bot lane duo. I'd actually like to see somebody like Crowny go to G2, because it's like it's a win-win situation, right? If the guy pops off, I think Crowny is very good, and like if he pops off, then, you know, great, they believed in him. If he doesn't pop off, then, you know, it's kind of like okay, well, at least they tried, and, you know, then you know, that shut up all the people that are constantly saying, you know, he's getting held back, stuff like that. He's given the opportunity to thrive. I'd like to see how he does. But we already know that Caps and Yankos don't want to play with Reckless, which means Reckless is no longer in a position to stay on G2, but like I said, there is rumours that he will go to LPL, so maybe we'll see that. Now, Kai'Sa is getting very, very close to a Phantom Dancer now, which is going to be a very, very nice power spike. It's just going to give her a lot more damage output. Now, one of the reasons why Phantom Dancer is so good as well is because the gold efficiency of the item is through the roof. You get so much out of that item for free because of the passive and the way it works. It's giving you so many raw stats. So the item is 2600 gold, but in total you get 131% gold efficiency, so an extra 828 gold when you get 4 stacks of Spectral Waltz. So as soon as you get that 4 autos, you get that massive attack speed, that massive movement speed, and you can just go crazy. Well, when you get them stacks of Spectral Waltz. So a very large amount of gold, just completely for free in that item. It's going to give her a massive power spike. And you know, it will actually make her strong. Like, this is the thing with Kai'Sa, she is a very, very strong skirmishing champ, but the only time you can really take her is when you're into like really low range comps. So if, say for example, Kai'Sa was on the side of G2 right now, it wouldn't be too bad, to be honest, if the Triss was replaced with something like, I don't know, even something like Samira, you know, just something short range. Then the Kai'Sa would actually fit in quite nicely there. But when you've got a Syndra and a Tristana, I feel like it's quite hard to navigate team fights. Now, luckily for Kazi this game, he can play very aggressive and be pretty safe due to the fact that, you know, the Leona is going to be jumping in, the Xin Zhao is going to be jumping in, the Gwen's doing so much damage right now that they just win team fights based on that. Now, we can see Rise pick up his needlessly large. Now, this is going to turn into his Seraph's Embrace, which they are both on 360 stacks. Cap's prioritizing going for his Void Staff first rather than Seraph's, which is going to restrict his damage by a lot, but it's going to allow him to deal with kind of some of these resistances a little bit easier. So we do see that Seraph's come in for the Rise now. It's going to be a little bit longer before Caps gets his, but then on his 3 items he is going to be very, very strong, and he's going to be able to probably just one-shot this this Kai'Sa, to be honest. Whenever she jumps in, she'll just die. So we will so 20 minutes. Oh, I don't know what I was showing. I do like these little kind of stats that come up in LEC though. I like the kind of the style that LEC go with. I think it's really, really nice. Now, one of the things that we get to look at as well in now that we're watching the EU games is we know kind of a lot of what makes up the Eastern kind of world in terms of their League of Legends teams at Worlds this year. And I actually think one of the reasons why MAD have a really good chance is purely because they have a very good top laner who plays very aggressive champions. Now, one of the big things with LPL and LCK is they don't really play around top as much. Obviously, you do get some teams like Damwon that do, and that gives them a lot of success due to the fact that top laners are slightly weaker in the East, I feel. You do get some really, really good top laners like Naguri, that can have some very good games as well, but I feel like it's very rare that they completely pop off in 1v9 unless they're given resources, which is fine. But I feel like then when you have like players like Arma that, you know, plays the very aggressive things like the Gwen and the Wukong and stuff like that, and he can kind of take it to them, I think if he is on form in Worlds, then MAD will do very well. Purely because he'll be able to get quite a lot of top lane, especially against some of those kind of LCK, LPL top laners, like for example, like Flandre, or Flandre, I don't know how to say his name, but like for example, if he doesn't get Jace, he'll just int, or if Khan doesn't get resources, he gets a bit inty as well. And what about the Shy? The Shy is, where was the Shy even playing for? Invictus still, right? Let's have a look. Yeah, Invictus. I don't know how Invictus did. This year, LP. Oh my god, they came 13th. They came 13th Invictus? How? Like what? It makes no sense. They have Rookie and the Shy. Like, I wonder what happened there. Like, what happened there? How did they go 6 for 10? Even in spring as well. That's crazy. Last summer they came 6th in playoffs and 3rd in the regular season. And they actually won LPL in spring last year. So, that's... I mean, still, IG are very, very good. And even this roster they have here, they have the Shy and Rookie. No, just the thing is, I paused so that I could go back and look over the fight anyway. But it's just curious, what the hell happened there? Like, what happened with them? Either way, so we get a really, really big fight here. Alyoya just picks Mickey again, and that allows Kai'Sa to just come in. Like, it's just completely grief. Mickey is one of the main reasons that G2 are actually losing this game, to be completely honest. And now Mad are just going to run them down. Like, there's not even much to speak about, because they're just so kind of strong in these team fights now, due to the fact that they've got their items, and Mickey is just picked off in every single team fight. Like, this guy is completely griefing. Like, completely griefing. They'll probably show it on a replay, but I don't know. Like, they need a new sport. Like, never mind Reckless leaving. Like, this is just sad to see, man. Now they're actually going to get this Baron. Now this is one of the reasons. This is one of the times where Kai'Sa's actually very good, because due to the fact that she does a lot of mixed damage. So here again, like, why are you walking up that far? Like, come on, man. Alyoya just instantly jumps on him and does so much damage. He uses flash as well, but as soon as that flash is burnt, Kai'Sa could just follow him instantly. Humanoid is just kind of completely ripping Cap to pieces in the backline as well. But yeah, Wonder dies too. I think Wonder dies, no? No, he doesn't actually. That's lucky for him. But they do get the Dragon for the side of G2, which is quite surprising considering they just lost the team fight. But again, like, Mickey is... I mean, the fact that Jankos managed to just run and get it, to be fair. I think it was Jankos to get it. Got it actually, or was it Reckless? I'm not too sure. So, Mad are just going to look to kind of re-establish all of this vision and then just look to keep fighting. Now, this is the thing with this kind of team comp is... Now they're in a kind of position where even if their team comp isn't the best, they are just going to be in a position where they're just going to keep fighting over and over and over, because that's kind of what their team fight is designed to do. And since they have this gold lead, they can keep doing it. Now, that's one of the biggest things that people don't take into consideration. Even in, like, for example, a solo queue, it's like, for all the gold that you gain, that gold is there that you can use as leverage. So it's like, for example, if, like, right now, they have like a 5k gold lead. So in this situation, if they just keep fighting with a 5k gold lead, and, you know, like, playing the fight well, or fairly well, they'll just keep winning them over and over, because that's what their comp is kind of designed to do now. So this is another thing that people don't really understand as much, especially in, like, solo queue and that. It's kind of like, you don't have to keep farming if you're already ahead. Like, farming is kind of the thing that you use to come back into the game and get ahead in the first place. But then when you're ahead, you need to actually put that pressure on the map. And this is why a lot of the times what you'll see is kind of pros, when they play solo queue, especially when they're smurfing in lower elos, what they'll do is just farm for their first 2 items, and then they'll just completely take over the map. You know, I mean, they'll look to punish as well, don't get me wrong. It depends on the elo. Like, if it's like a pro playing in, like, D1, you know, it's going to be fairly easy for them, and they can actually look to solo kill and get a lot of kind of punishment that way. But overall, I mean, when you get to the highest level as well, it's kind of like people just don't really fight anywhere near as much. Like, they just want to look to farm up anyway. Put you in, you're going to smurf. Smurf what? So as we see, Humanoid is just keeping these minions buffed up in the back, just making sure that they can continue kind of pressuring while he has that Baron still available. Was that? Oh no. We do see them jumping in. And again, like, the game is over. Like, Gwen is just way too big right now. They need to ban this away, to be honest. Like, it just can't be left open. They did actually take this inhib, which means they're just going to commit to the end, just because you don't really take an inhib unless you're going to look to end the game out. Yankos does get picked, and then, you know, it's very rough. Honestly, I think this game was just Mickey inting over and over and over. Like, they didn't have support this game. 6 deaths. I don't know. This was very much just Mickey ran it, which is sad because the first game went so well. But so let's go on to game number 3.